Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 191.
191?
I actually looked it up. This is season 2, episode 10.
Wow. Why is
I believe.
This showing?
I counted them. Season 2, episode 10.
Insane.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
There it goes. Wow. Season 2, episode 10?
Episode 10. This
Wow.
has been 10 since the reunion. So it's our little hiatus.
So, yeah.
Did your midlife crisis.
Yeah, something like that. Lots to talk about today. Like, obviously, the patch hit for Diablo 4. ExileCon happened last week. What is that noise? Is that me?
I don't know.
I'm going crazy. It's like a buzz? Chad does here. You get Chad? Anyways, sorry. Sidetrack. But yeah, lots to talk about. It's going to be crazy. This one's going to be a buckle up. It's going to be a long boy, I think.
Short boy? It's a lot of it's POE too, so like
yeah, you're gonna take a nap, but I'm super excited. What is that?
I'm gonna log off after the Diablo talk, and you can just talk to yourself. There's a little hiss to you, but yeah.
Check.
Okay. You hit your gain button.
There we go.
An accident.
Check. Nope, it's still there. What the fuck is the noise? It's gonna drive me crazy. Anyways, we can't. But yeah, so we're just gonna jump right into it because there's literally so much to talk about. The new meta podcast question from last week is new meta podcast question of the week. How are you feeling about Diablo 4 season 1, Season of the Malignant? Option 1, oh my god, poggers. Option 2, Matt, one or more. Option 3, maybe after the next update. Option 4, dog shit is. And coming in at 36.4% of the vote, Matt wanted more.
Yeah.
And
what was second place?
Tight second is dog shit is.
Dog shit is. Wow. That's crazy.
All right, hang on. 2 seconds. Talk.
Okay. Dog shit is. That is pretty nutty that it's that high on the list. If I were to vote on this poll, I can't. It's hard for me to see it. What's the second? Maybe after the next patch. I did play the season. I don't know, and you guys can let me know what you think, but I think the season was a little bit lacking. It was Fluff's yelling in the background. It was a little bit lacking. I got pretty bored. I didn't even,
There it is.
I made it for a couple days and was like, nah.
Okay.
I would have voted option 3, maybe even option 4, to be honest. So
there it is.
What was it?
I put a GPU. So I bought a temporary GPU for the old gaming PC we had when the processor broke. I got the processor. I got the new game PC back.
Okay.
So then I put the GPU that was in the old game PC into the stream PC because it had a 1080 Ti in it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just put it's like a 3060 or something.
It was humming.
And the power, because the 3060 only takes 1 power port, which is crazy to me. 1080 Ti took like 2. But I had that like extra cable coming down and it was rubbing against the fan. That's what that was.
Nice. Yeah. That won't fuck up your airflow at all.
Yeah.
Either,
so it's like,
my GPUs keep dying. I can't figure out why. I can't figure out what it is. I did hear it too. Like, you could hear the background.
That's right.
That's cool. I was telling chat, if I were to vote on this poll, I think I would probably be somewhere in between 3 and 4, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's not a lot of content. It's not enough to keep me like really even interested, So
I saw a post and I kind of agree with the sentiment. I want to know what your thoughts are, but someone posted on Reddit. It's like one of the top voted posts right now from this last week, but it was like said something like Diablo 4 was worth every penny, but I don't want to keep playing it.
I did see that actually. I saw that too. Yeah, for me it was worth every penny because but I didn't spend a lot on it.
Was that a humble brag about how much money you have? Here we go. Millionaire streamer, by the way.
No, that's not it. I'm saying I got the game for free.
Shit.
So if you bought the Ultimate Edition, which a lot of people did to get the early access and to get the mount and all the stuff, right? And I think that was a good investment in the long term. I think someday you're gonna whip out your Ultimate Edition pre-purchase and all your toys and be like, hey, check me out. Yeah, I think I got a solid 100 hours out of the game ish before I was like, okay, I'm super bored. And I think that's a good value. Like if you go to the movies, my wife and I go to the movies at $60 easy. You know, maybe 80 or 100 if we buy drinks and popcorn and stuff like that. And that's for 2 hours of entertainment. So if you crunch the numbers like that, I guess it's worth it. If you compare it to other investments I've made, I mean, we'll see. If I play it for 10 years like Diablo 3, then yeah, absolutely it'll be worth it, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think the movie reference is good. It's one we've used time and time again, but I don't know. I still think if we compare this game to like a single player game, I don't know. Like, I think it's well worth the money. Like, if we like compare this to like the God of War or something like that, like, yeah, of course, I think it's worth every penny. But I think it's automatically going to be harder for a game to like live up to expectations as something that has like continuous integration, and it's going to have changes in the future because it's like changes are going to be made and it's not going to live up to certain players' expectations.
Yeah, as a live service game, does it hold up to your live service standard? I think is what you're saying. What game does? Like, what live game service has lived up to the live game service hype?
At vanilla.
None. I mean, I can't think of any.
None.
Like, there's not a single game, that comes to this live service model. And I mean,
you can't really say POE because POE's original game was like, ugh.
Yeah, POE was like, they even did in the ExileCon, they showcased like the history of POE and like you go back to those early days and it was like, it looked pretty rough, man.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I'm having a really hard time thinking of a live service game. I mean, World of Warcraft kind of set the standard. I think Cult Classic 15 years ago was pretty damn hype at the time. But would that, if you launched Classic today and it had never existed, would it hold up? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would. I think people would shred it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I would say yes. I agree with that. I think it was worth the money. And I think if you ever pick it back up again in the future, let's say you come back in season 5 or 6, and there's a lot of new stuff they've added to the game. They've added some end game, and it's still included in your original purchase price. Then absolutely. I think if they get to a place where they start charging per season, if there's some kind of seasonal price barrier,
no way they would never do that.
I don't think they could either. I don't think they could do it. But if they did, that would be the point at which I would be like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah, the game would be dead.
I still don't like I still prefer a pay model than a free to play. Let's say that Diablo 4 came out with the Path of Exile free to play model, and the season they were going to make all their money on the seasonal pass and selling cosmetics. Let's say like in the game, none of your transmogs actually worked, and you had to buy all that stuff off the shop. No horse mount drops other than like a brown shitty horse, and they went to free to play and they had the shop. I would personally hate that. Even if it was free to play, I would still not like that system. I'd rather pay. Maybe it's the old school gamer in me. I want to pay $70, which the price keeps going up, right? $70, $100, whatever for the game, and then be able to get anything in the game through gameplay. Earn it.
I disagree.
I want to buy it.
We're always going to disagree on this because, you boot up Path of Exile, and we'll just assume that you don't need, like, if you're really invested in the game, you don't have to buy like the tabs and all that, right? And so you find one thing on the shop. You're like, I want my character to look like that. And that's it. Like, you don't have to spend any money, period. Like, I think that's
yeah, but you could have that one thing
model.
in the shop. Like, let's say that one thing in the shop is like complete Lilith at level 100 hardcore. Okay, boom, there's an objective. You go do it. Now you got that thing. And then now you can, that's like your humble brag. You're running around like I earned that awesome ass cosmetic. And then you don't care about any other.
We're talking about like achievements now versus like.
No, I'm just saying that's a way to get it in the game. Like everything that POE puts in the game. Let's say POE costs $70, right? And then everything that's in their store was earnable in the game somehow. Kill, Uber, whoever, whatever, and then you can get this.
But Diablo 4 is not like that either. What do you mean?
I know it should be.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I'd rather be able to earn everything in game. I'm saying I don't like the battle pass. I don't like the hybrid system that Diablo 4 is going right now. I personally, does it bother me? No, I don't care. It's not a big deal to me. I really don't care that much. But if you asked me to pick, I would say let me pay $70 and then be able to earn everything in the game versus let the game be free to play and then have to buy everything. Microtransaction style.
I don't know, man. I think that there's a lot of players out there that just can't get through.
I'm not mad if people. Yeah, I'm not mad if people disagree with that.
Yeah,
that's fine because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me. I hate pay to win. If they ever start to go the pay to win route, I'm out.
Yeah, of
instantly,
course.
I'm out.
Of course.
Pay to cosmetic. If they start locking all the good cosmetics behind, Destiny 2 did this for a little bit. Before they switched free to play, they did a hybrid model similar to what D4 is doing now, where you still had to buy the game, but then they had their cosmetic shop. But then they had a thing where like the latest raid came out, and then they designed a ship, which ships in Destiny are kind of like your loading screen. I don't know, like you don't use them a lot, but it's still like your brag. It's like a thing that you want, right? Ships are a big selling point in Destiny, and then they put the ship that matched the raid was only sold on the cosmetic store. It's like this is the theme of the fucking raid. You can't earn this in the raid. You have to buy it from the store. Like that, it blew my mind. And so I don't know. I'm afraid that as time progresses, D4 will go down that path. They'll experiment with that path a little bit, push players to the brink of complaining and getting pissed off, and then back up just a little bit.
You know? I don't know. I think it's a weird complaint to make that like, I want my character to look cool. Like, how dare I play this free-to-play game? I don't know. I think it's a dumb argument, in my opinion. Like, it's free to play the game. You know, if you don't have any money, this is great for you. There's no barrier for entry.
No, I'm saying D4, which isn't free to play though.
Right. And that's why D4's model is even worse than Path of Exile.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like D4 has a $70 price tag. The shop, I don't know. I don't want to say the shop shouldn't exist because I want them to continue to get funding to continue to develop the game. Because I think that was D3's problem. I think D3 shipped as a box game. They had no monetization model outside of the initial game sale. But then they continued to support it for a little bit, like a live service model, at least with patches and updates. And I think ultimately that stifled the growth quite a bit. They needed a way to monetize.
Sure. So. But yeah, my question for next week, my podcast question of the week, is this upcoming Diablo 4 patch 1.1.1 a true redemption arc for the sorcerer, which I misspelled, / barbarian? Option 1, yes, class is fixed, smile. Option 2, it's a good start. Option 3, totally missed the mark. Option 4, shock of shocks, dog shit is. Go ahead and tweet that out. And post a link so you guys that are live can vote. But yeah. So yeah, obviously that's discussion point number 1. We want to talk about 1.1.1.
1.1.1.
But you know, before we dig into this
today.
Yeah, literally today. Before we talk about this, one thing I want to allude to, right? So soon, chat, for you guys listen on YouTube, which we appreciate you guys coming back week after week after week, or sometimes month after month, whatever. Soon we'll be available. The podcast will be available on way more platforms. It'll be more consistent as far as when these things get released. And the pre-show, the Patreon page, all that stuff's going to come back. So, yeah, look for that soon, TM. Yeah. Soon.
Working some magic behind the scenes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I want to talk about that real quick. But yeah, so patch notes. 1.1.1. 0.1.1.
1.1.1? All the ones?
Yes. So obviously this patch, as I talked about in the Fireside chat, this one is mostly Sorcerer and Barbarian focused. And with that, we see a lot. We see a lot of... I'd be curious because, you know, I'm not a Barb main. I'm a Necro main. I'm not a Sorcerer main either. But how some of the... I mean, I think we'll get it from the poll we tweeted, but like how are people receiving some of this stuff? I know we see numbers go up, you know, 2 thumbs up. Yay.
I saw... I started as a druid in this season, and I have wanted a juicy barb since day one. So I made one in the Eternal Realm before season launched, and I got him into the 60s, I think, before I burned out and couldn't stomach playing it anymore. So I would be curious to see what barb feels like now after all these changes. I can tell you from what I was playing Hoda back in Eternal, the lunging strike fury gain, it doesn't seem like much, but like they even alluded to in the Fireside chat, is that those gains also scale with abilities, gear, talents, everything else. So I'm hoping that fury generation feels better. That was one of the pain points that I kind of felt like it was like you're generating, and then spending super fast, and then you're back to generating again. So
yeah,
it would be interesting to test it out. But
yeah, we see a lot of fury generation going up for the barb, damage numbers going up, like some uniques pretty drastically changed. Some of them got changed for just more damage, which might miss the mark according to like just what we felt on Necro. But it looks like the uniques, some of them have been reworked completely, so that's good.
Yeah, the uniques weren't very interesting in my opinion for barbs.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of barbs even running uniques. So
no, I think they were pretty crappy. And to be honest, like these didn't jump out at me super crazy off just reading them off the page, as in like, oh, I can't. That would be so fun, but I'm sure that they're probably a lot better. And when you put one on and play with it, you can probably feel the power. But we'll see.
Yeah,
see what they do.
Rogue.
The only yeah. No, I was gonna say the only other class that I really have experience with would have been Sorcerer. So, but we can go through them. Like if you want to hit the Rogue skills.
Rogue, some small changes. I was tuning into some Rogues earlier. Didn't really feel like it was like, wow, this is super impactful. Druid, same thing. I was on DatMod's channel. Nothing. Was just like, yeah, I mean, like some good changes, but it's not gonna like revamp the class or anything like that.
You're not really running.
But we didn't expect for Rogue and Druid. We didn't expect anything. I will say that like for expecting a Barb and expecting a big Sorcerer patch, I did feel like the list is still kind of small. I mean, the Sorcerer is much larger than the Barb, but I feel like
they seem like they don't to me. Like, and I haven't gone in and I haven't logged on. My Sorcerer is Eternal Realm, so I'm never going to play it again. But looking at these changes and from what I have played, this seems like it was all lightning and fire damage, though. So, like, they broke ice shards in the patch. Like, when they patched.
It's still good, though. Like, people are still running around doing fine. But, yeah, it's a nerf. It's been nerfed.
Yeah, it felt way worse. I can say that.
Yeah.
But they didn't address. I didn't see anything on here that really addressed that. So, they're like, oh, well, we broke that build, but we're going to. It seems to me like they really buffed lightning a lot. And, like, I would be interested. I actually like lightning, and I wanted to play a lightning build before, so I feel like this opens up some possibilities with some various things. It seems like there was a lot of fire stuff on here too.
Yeah, some Hydra stuff as well.
I don't know how good that'll be. And then the changes to the Paragon board could potentially fix some of the frost problems anyways. So it could still be there. I still don't think it'd be as powerful as it was, but your toughness could make that back up in the Paragon board, I think. So
we'll have to see. I thought, for me, one thing that surprised me here was this is coming out next Tuesday. I thought they said Friday. Like it was going to, like, they had the Fireside last Friday, and then this Friday was going to come out, but oh, I just remember them saying it was going to launch, and I knew I was going to be out of town. So, so either way, I was like, oh, I'm going. And then finally, the Necro, which we can obviously talk about in depth. Bone Spirit cooldown reduction is completely whatever. I think so. Like, one of the weird things that the Bone Spear nerfs actually affected Bone Spirit, because they nerfed some of like the passives for Bone, and like sort of didn't even think about Bone Spirit, which was a miss. So Bone Spirit is still like meh. But this is cool. So they're like, obviously we're like meh. This was pretty neat to see, because so we're in like a partner Discord. I don't think that's like private knowledge or anything like that with Blizzard.
It is. You just ruined it.
Yeah, there we go. If it is,
I didn't see it. Fluff did.
Yep. I'm gonna get banned. But yeah, and so like this was literally like word for word like what I suggested. I pointed out that the Wither Paragon board for the Necro, even if you spec like a willpower and all stat Necromancer, and got up to like 1300 willpower, like the Wither would still only give you like a 30% chance to proc double damage, and it would give like 60% bonus damage, which is just like a joke. So they went up, which was nice. So if you get like a 1300 willpower character, you know, you can get up to like, I think with this, it was like 50%, maybe high 40% chance to proc, which is still kind of meh, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But this is just a flat buff to damage over time builds, which is great. And then during the fireside chat, he said someone pointed out that, you know, Sever, that the chance to spawn a pool of blight, how that was sort of a dot focused fix, and it was made crit. Like, it didn't make sense. And he's like, and someone pointed it out, and he's like, yeah, that guy's right, basically. And it's like, that was me, chat. That was literally me. So that's pretty cool to see, like, stuff that you're suggesting, like, yo, to get in. So maybe if I just keep making these requests or whatever, or keep complaining in the Discord, like, Necro might be a pretty great class one day. We'll see. But yeah, I did think that was cool. It's cool to see them listening and making changes and all that stuff for the Necromancer. As far as anything else for the Necro, I think the hulking aspect will be interesting to play around with. They made it utility instead of resource. But one of the things I feel like for the Necro in general, I'm sorry, I'm just ranting here, is that, like, we have all this resource stuff, and most of our resource aspects are actually pretty decent. But like in a game like this, like you have FOMO. Like if you're putting on like a resource aspect versus like something that's giving you 100% more damage, like it feels bad. Like I don't know how you can get away from that unless they make like a resource only slot or something like that for the Necro, maybe like an earring. But in games like these, where one, the amount of aspects you can have on a legendary or on a Necromancer is already really small, but two, like, it just feels bad to like forego damage for like resource. I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of odd that they chose to go with classes like Barbarian getting all those extra weapon slots, right?
Yeah.
And then not the balance on that. And I'm sure that they try to balance the legendary aspects. Well, we'll just make the other classes stronger that have less, but it doesn't really work that way. You still get to manipulate, and it's more design choice in your build too, right? So I have 3 extra slots. I can put 3 powers that I probably wouldn't use anyways on here, and
yeah, and I think it's way more exciting in this game to gear a rogue, to gear a barb, because you just have more aspects to play with. And
more choices, for sure. More stat sticks to put on. Like it's crazy. Like even with Barb's weird setup is like your weapon mastery. You can assign what skill uses which weapon and all these things, but then you have so you can literally just stat stick your other weapons. It doesn't even matter, So it's just an interesting thing, because I can't imagine that was the design choice that they initially started off with. Like, oh, we'll give Barb 4 weapon slots, but then your main damage is only going to come from one weapon, so the other ones are just stat sticks.
Mm-hmm.
It seems weird. I doubt that was the intent.
Yeah.
But it's not played up.
Minions got, I would say this is a minion buff. They kind of, like, I feel like misled with this, but basically they're going to be a bit more tanky because there's certain things like the fire breath from the Balrogs. They basically oppressors from Diablo 3, like where they puke. It was just wiping out everyone. And so like that's going to do less damage. So Necro and Druid Companions. I did hear also from mods that he sort of suspects the Druid Companions to be like way better for like leveling and stuff, but it's still going to be pretty shit in the end game is what he thinks.
Yeah.
But another good change is the density is going to go up. So they showed, I couldn't find the image, but they basically showed
I thought they already did that, but I guess not. Yeah. I thought that already hit, but they did show the image. It did look good.
Yeah.
Some people were like, ooh, and I was like, yeah, it's better. I didn't think it was like crazy, but it was more, you know.
I did think it was pretty crazy. It was like double almost.
Yeah.
But this one I didn't understand.
The elites didn't change if you looked at the picture. Remember the skulls? I think the skulls were elites, right?
Yeah.
So they cranked up monster density, but they didn't crank up the elite density.
That's fine. This one I didn't understand. So basically bosses at level 80 plus have 50% increased health, and at 100 they have 100% increased health, 120, 150 increased health. Why? It's not like this doesn't say like bosses damage has gone up by like 5,000% or like bosses are now more challenging. It's just like, I don't know. Now they're more bullet spongy. It's like, why? Like they're still
they made bosses were dying too fast. I guess I don't. That's the only reason I could think.
Yeah, but
and it's like, I mean, I guess you did destroy some bosses pretty quick, but yeah, does that make the game more fun? I don't know. No,
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But I don't care, I guess.
35 or higher monsters will have 100% to drop a legendary item.
That's
so
good.
Maybe that's why. I don't really know. But treasure goblins will also have an increased chance, guaranteed starting at level 15. So
it's good.
Treasure goblins feel like treasure goblins. Legion events are now more rewarding and guarantee a legendary drop.
I like that.
Like, yeah, maybe they're actually worth even looking at. I don't know.
Yeah, leveling, they're easy XP.
Right.
But
yeah.
If you get a legendary as well, plus the EXP while you're leveling, that's cool.
This part, they sort of talk about refunding paragons and skills, stuff like the cost decreasing, and they explain per tier. Some of the other stuff we know we're going to get another stash tab. The cast time lead dungeon is back to 3 seconds instead of 6 or whatever it was. I don't know why they even did that. And then apparently
people were teleporting out to not die.
Apparently the exploit glyph was not working with enemies that have an active barrier, which I didn't even know was a thing. So yay, fixes.
Yay.
Things that actually working as they say they do. But this is pretty huge. This one I actually really like. So the following Nightmare Dungeon affixes have been removed. Number 1, resource burn. Thank God. Number 2, and number 3, the most important is cold enchanted, which I feel like I said that. Like, delete it until you can figure out a better solution because it's stupid.
I think everybody said that. Yeah. Delete that shit.
And then backstabbers. So no more really weird random one shots because you have no mitigation. So poggies.
Cool.
Nice. And then generic uniques, temerity. So the pants that basically you get shielding for every overheal or something like that. All stats has been replaced with max life. Barrier now is based on the maximum life and now properly accounted conditions for players having the barrier because sometimes it would not be accounted for. So temerity could be pretty good coming up. We'll see. We shall see. Outside of that, just a bunch of
bug fixes.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Lots and lots of bug fixes.
Yeah.
Like pages. He's still scrolling through bug
still
fixes.
Scrolling. But
there it is.
We're not going to go through all that stuff. But
it's
changes.
It's cool. It's a start.
Yeah.
It's a start. It's a great skeleton of a game. So,
okay. I also feel like, this, again, I talked about it last podcast, but I do feel like season 1 will sort of be the season of balance. I think that we'll probably, I would hope we'd see some stuff like this maybe every other week for D4. I don't know. We'll see.
Every other week? Oh, sir.
This is an opportunity because I genuinely feel like obviously the seasonal theme is super meh. Not enough to carry 3 months. Right, we got to think about it. We're not going to get another season until end of October.
There's no reason not to have these. There's no leaderboard. There's nothing to lock in player changes. Right. So, I think 2 weeks is crazy ambitious. I would say in a month maybe we'll get more. If we could get them every 2 weeks, then that'd be awesome. But I don't see it. Yeah, but you're right. There's there's no reason for them not to do this.
Right.
And I don't know how big the team is,
right now,
basically. Basically, right? Yeah, we'll see. It's season 2. Season 3 is the first one with a leaderboard. They said, right?
Yeah.
So
hopefully season 2 is the new end
the
game content thing that they're talking about. They don't want us to be in Nightmare Dungeons. They want us to be in Activity X, is what we'll call it.
Yeah.
So hopefully season 2 is Activity X.
It's Tree of Whispers ++.
Stop. I hate your suggestions.
No, listen. So, hold on. So they put legendary gems in from D3. What system are we missing from D3?
Maybe the seasonal theme for season 2 is actually can see Mystic reroll options. Wow.
Yeah, the Mystic Season of the Mystic, your reroll options and now have expanded, and you can see them. Yeah,
Woo!
That's it.
Log in, dude.
There it is. That's the new seasonal theme. So, that's it on the Diablo front.
Well, there's one more thing.
Oh, one more thing.
Oh god.
Oh
the
yeah,
ads.
that thing.
Woo.
I forgot about that thing.
Yeah. So apparently there's a bug.
There's a couple actually.
Yeah. There's Diablo 4 players can, from the Eternal Realm, can basically enter the seasonal realm through some exploits, which we won't this article will tell you how, but I don't think I want to advertise that necessarily. But yeah, so
I would say if you're listening, I would strongly suggest don't do this if you value your account. Right. Like I think that I think this is going to be tracked and there will be punishments handed out for this. Would be my guess, because this is a pretty big exploit. This isn't like a oopsie thing. This is like you're intentionally doing some shit you shouldn't do.
Don't do it.
So don't do it if you like your account. You might get banned.
But yeah, apparently you can take your Eternal character and get into seasonal somehow, and the same thing applies for hardcore and softcore and all that stuff. So yikes. Big oversight there.
Well, I always wanted my sorceress in season 1.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
Let's go. I don't have to level again. Stupid.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. Community never ceases to amaze. You know,
they'll find a way.
The days of playing a game and having it exploit, bug, hack free they're just gone.
Yeah,
especially on PC, they're just gone. Like, I don't know. It bugs me. It bothers me so much.
Me too, dude. And then this might be, maybe this is an early Fluff hates, but it's still in the genre of Diablo. The name of this post is, this guy says, if Diablo 4 had as many features as PoE, most of its player base would quit. And he goes on to basically rant and complain about feature creep. And something that we've touched on before.
Yeah. So if Diablo 4 was as complex as PoE, I do think a lot of its player base would not play. But I think the game would be phenomenal, and the ARPG fans would absolutely love the game, and it would be as successful in that. But yeah, you're right. A lot of the, soccer dads out there that weekend Andes, they're gonna look at it and go, "Oh my god, what did I do with that Paragon tree? I'm not playing this," and tap out.
Yeah,
1,500 nodes. That's all I'm saying. 1,500 nodes.
Love it, dude.
You'll know what we're talking about in a little bit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just hang around. We're gonna talk about it. 1,500. God, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate this. I disagree.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, it's not that I disagree. Like, every fiber of my being disagrees. I think that, over the time, I understand why people say, like, oh, feature creep bad. But I gotta be honest, like, keep the feature creep coming. I want to, like, I actively enjoy logging in to a game and being like, whoa, there's so much to do. As long as it's relevant and it matters.
Yeah, if you don't do the old content, who cares, right? Like, if you're adding new stuff and you only want to play the new stuff, that's fine. But if the old stuff's there for people to play it, if they choose to, what does it matter? Why do you care?
Yeah.
As long as you're not being forced to do it.
Right. Exactly.
So, I don't know.
So I just hate the whole feature creep.
I disagree too. There's another thing that I don't know if it's on the schedule, probably not, but there was another post that I saw where somebody killed one of the world bosses and then clicked on a vendor corpse next to the world boss, and it infinitely started shitting out gold and items.
Yikes.
As an exploit. And like, they recorded them doing it. They went from like a couple 100,000 gold to 7 million gold, and like infinite yellows. Like, it was literally, if you could imagine like killing, how in Diablo 3 you would open like a chest after you killed Diablo or Mathiel and all this stuff would pop out.
Yeah.
Just shoot out for a little bit. Just imagine that going on for minutes.
Yikes.
So
So weird. What a weird explanation.
Click corpses next to the world bosses, guys, I guess, until they patch it. I don't know.
Don't do that. Do not encourage people to do that.
Just click the corpses.
Yikes.
Listen,
if you're worried, if you care about your account, that's the one you should like really
clicking the corpse next to a world boss. I don't think you'd get in trouble for that one.
No, you'd absolutely get in trouble for that.
No way. No way.
They even said it in the Discord. But
so,
anyway.
well, for the seasonal one for sure. But could you? I don't know. That's crazy to me. That just blows my mind. Oh, I clicked this corpse and it's loot fountaining. So.
But what we finally came here for, Path of Exile content.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're freaking so. You know, this thing
so
was
excited.
Poggy's. Chris Wilson comes on. He's like, "Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Granny
Chris
Games."
Wilson, look at that awkward stance. He's so awkward.
Funny.
He's so
great.
awkward.
He is.
You think he does that awkwardness on purpose?
Oh, yeah, that's him. That's just his personality. Like, but that's like a thing. Like when you're like a savant, which, you know, he kind of is. Like, you know, you spec for like intelligence. You don't necessarily spec for like, wow, I look really normal in social situations.
I mean, just the stance, like just the posture is just like, he just looks awkward. You know what I mean?
Sure. But I don't he can stand like however the fuck he wants, you know, like keep the content flowing.
Either. Just say it. Yeah.
Toxic,
keep it coming.
being toxic. But yeah, so this thing went off last Friday. We co-streamed the whole thing and it was, I mean, so exciting. Path of Exile 2, of course. More content on the way there. They played it live. The balls on these guys.
Yeah, they had
on stream live demo. They showcased the monk, and the gameplay looks.
I don't
phenomenal.
know. Like, do we want to jump at the things that jumped out at us, or do you have a list that you want to run through with the POE?
I don't really have a list, but yeah, I mean, we got the Path of Exile website, and we can like jump through those pointers. But I was just. Yeah. What'd you think of the gameplay? Like, what'd you think of them stepping through the monk?
Yeah, I went back. I didn't watch it live. I waited. I think it was the following day, and I tuned in. I had a really nasty storm that came through Saturday here in St. Louis, and it knocked my power out for about 5.5 hours. I think it was down, which was really cool because I was getting a new window put in my office when the storm rolled through. So I had no window in my stream office, and like this fucking hurricane was going through my office. It was pretty awesome. So we had to quick make shift and patch up the window. So while I was bored with nothing to do for 5 hours, I watched the POE event.
Okay.
I thought it was, it looked good. So the gameplay that I saw them do live, I thought looked pretty interesting. I think the monk specifically is who they showcased right out of the gate. And what Fluff has got on the screen right now had some cool abilities. I don't think so. I instantly started making comparisons to the D4, and I thought, like, look at the abilities that he's using versus what we got out of the gate in D4. Now, I don't know if this is like a level 1 character. They may have showed. I don't remember, but the abilities kind of looked fun to use, which I think is kind of the opposite of how I felt about D4. I think they weren't really fun to use until you got legendary powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it looked really cool, and specifically the parts where they talked about weapon swapping.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying like those were the things that they went through in this live demo that I was like, that's pretty dope. Those are innovation. There are innovations that they've shown, and we'll hit on them. There are innovations that they've shown that could latch on in the ARPG genre and change it. And I felt like that's something that D4 didn't hit. What innovations did D4 bring to ARPGs?
Literally none.
Nothing. And like PoE is trying to, whether it flops or it doesn't flop, we don't know. We haven't played
There's
it, right?
no way it's gonna flop, but yeah.
But no, I'm saying they're innovations. They're changes that they're making. The things that they're adding, the systems. If they work, then it's like, okay, they've innovated the genre, and I don't feel like Diablo 4 took any chances in that.
Yeah,
you know?
It's literally 3.1 D3. So, but yeah, to sort of touch on the big things coming, we could look at the Path of Exile 2 website, which is now live. But basically, some of the key points here is 6 acts will be the new campaign. So the number one thing they announced that sort of shocked me, and I don't know if it shocked you either, but they did say last ExileCon is like, oh, well, POE 1 will just become Path of Exile 2. And immediately out of the gate, they said, change of plans.
Yeah.
Path of Exile 1 will now be its own game, and Path of Exile 2 will be its own game. So, and to further that, they said Path of Exile 1 will not only be its own game still, and everything, sort of stays the same, but it'll continue to get content. Yeah. Even after Path of Exile 2 is out.
That was great news to me. I thought the choice to bring PoE 1 into 2 was not a positive thing, personally, because I felt like they would always be trying to figure out ways to make old content work with the new stuff, and or make new content that still worked with their old systems. I think it's a good thing that they separated it personally.
I think that, so what you just said doesn't make sense, because it is. So like everything that's from PoE 1 is going into PoE 2. The difference here now is that, Path of Exile 1, everything as it is will stay as it is, but all that stuff's still coming to Path of Exile 2, and they're changing it for Path of Exile 2. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they're changing it so they don't have to go back and change it for 1. They don't have to go back.
Yeah, they don't have to go back and change it for 1, but everything that's in 1 has to be changed for 2. Still.
Yeah,
okay.
So which is the new game, which is kind of like, okay, yeah, you got like, here's your old game and here's your new game. We're not trying to blend them. They're just like, okay, here's the new game.
Which I think, when I originally heard it, I was like, okay. But, it's for like people like you, honestly. It's for like the classic WoW enjoyers, the crazy folks out there on the internet.
Mm-hmm. The people that still want to blast PoE 1 and think 2 sucks, because that'll happen. There'll be guys that are like, PoE 2 sucks. I'm going to play PoE 1.
I like my one button build. One button.
Yeah, that's cool. Like go do your one button thing. I have no problem. The biggest beef I have with that is when they said we're going to continue to make content for Path of Exile 1. So either A, you're splitting up resources you could be putting on PoE 2 to make it better, or B, you're going to have like 2 guys producing content and you're over promising right now and are going to under deliver.
You want to hear something crazy? This was a bullet point later. No, this is something that I was going to touch on a little bit later. But so Balor Mage, who's a popular PoE streamer, was talking in literally 20 guys were the Path of the last like 4 Path of Exile leads were from 20 guys. So those crazy, huge content patches that GGG has been giving out for Path of Exile 1, like the last year.
Imagine if those 20 guys, imagine those 20 dudes are working on PoE 2 also. 20 dudes, one game.
The team for, PoE 2 would be way bigger. So 20 guys, like if they're going to keep getting the cash whales from like Path of Exile 1 and like pumping out that content, why not? I don't know. We don't even know how big the Diablo 4 team is, but it's like, Jesus Christ, 20 fucking guys and all that
750 plus.
Are you serious? I don't want to talk about it.
I think I've heard that. I think I've heard that number before, yeah.
Oh my God. What are they doing?
I mean, I don't know if I'm right. I really don't. But I've been floated the number of 750 plus.
I mean,
I could be so wrong on that, though. I have no idea. But that's what I've been told. So
hopefully that's like all of Blizzard's employees. But yeah, still 20. That's crazy. So yeah, to me, do it. Why not? Like as long as it's profitable to do so, keep giving them content. Why not? But I don't know. I wouldn't expect anything that's crazy. Like Crucible, it's still crazy as far as if we think of Crucible in the grand scheme of PoE leagues. Is it the most insane like content that they've ever had? No. But if we think about Crucible in terms of Diablo seasons, like Crucible wouldn't have been the biggest season Diablo's ever seen. Just Crucible. So yeah, it's crazy to think about. But with Path of Exile 2, to get back on track here, 100 distinct environments, 600 monsters, and 100 bosses. And they showcased so many boss fights during ExileCon that were just so fucking cool. Like Path of Exile does bosses so well. And they didn't even showcase really any bosses that were act bosses. But every boss that we saw was really...
So like these bosses, like this fight right here that you have on the screen.
Yeah.
The thing that looks really cool to me is, and I don't know if you want to talk about this later, but the roll mechanic that they added. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like they really put some work in on melee combat, but the roll mechanic, I think looks fantastic. It looks like it gives you control. You're not stuck in animations, which at the same time can kind of be a skill gap to keep from getting punished. That's where he died, which wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was like, oh shit. So It's funny he already had some hacks to get him right back to the boss too. But yeah, I think that the roll mechanic that he was showcasing right there quite a bit is pretty dope. I like the fact that there's no cooldown on it.
Yeah, when I
don't know. It looked
first
fun, man.
saw that, like when they first mentioned like the roll, it's got no cooldown. I was like, well, that's way too strong.
My thing is to think like, what's going to keep somebody from just rolling the whole time? Because then they said you can't take damage while you're rolling. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
can't
it's
get
not.
hit
So
or
like
something?
so originally it was like, yeah, you can. It's got no cooldown. I was like, wow, okay, well, one, people are just gonna spam it, and two, it's like that's way too strong. But you only get like a millisecond of an iframe at the start of the roll, and two, you can't roll through enemies. So like, its viability is pretty limited in that regard. So it is nice, especially against bosses, because like if you
It's
really
dope
knew
to
the
get out
boss
of
fight,
way of mechanics.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, I'm about to get hit by this fireball. Let me roll.
Right.
Like
and
that's
to animation
cool.
cancel, which you already touched
Yeah.
on. Yeah, that's the big thing. And so like everything in Path of Exile 2, and this is like sort of the grand scheme of what's kind of blowing my mind with this game, is so that animation cancel is going to be a big deal in Exile 2, because how they designed the game is to be animations. Like, so, we think of best in class combat in ARPGs. What do we think of? We think of Lost Ark. And Lost Ark is sort of based on the concept of cooldowns. And I do think it works in Lost Ark. And but they don't like that. So what they're doing is no cooldowns, basically. And sort of forcing mana management combined with how long it takes something to cast. So that's how they're going to balance the game, which to me is like, ooh, like this is a big risk. That seems awfully crazy. It seems like it works okay, but at the same time, like we haven't gotten to dive super deep into it. And just like, ooh, like just, so then it's eventually like, okay, we're going to be mana potting. Like it just seems crazy to even think about. But I do sort of like it as an idea, like to not go cooldowns. And they don't want you to do like rotations, like Lost Ark is all about your rotation. Like eventually it's just like, oh, you cast the first 4 and then you cast like the second 4. It still feels great, but it is sort of limited by that. And they don't really want you to do rotations in Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see the flasking. He had 5 flasks on his bar or something like that. I was a little disappointed to see the return of that. And then somebody asked, I don't remember exactly how, but somebody asked about the flasks giving boosts or bonuses like they do in POE1. And basically, I think it led to, are we going to be piano flasking again in POE2? And I thought their answer was like no, but it didn't really say no. It was like, sounded like a maybe.
It was a no. So
was it a no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can't remember the answer to that question,
Sure.
but I do remember it.
No, I'm glad you brought it up. So flasks obviously are not going to work like they do in Path of Exile 1, where you're just piano flasking and there's a like basically flat bus your character has. They did say that, sort of utility flasks you can think of as sort of, reactive. Like if you have burning on you, like you use a potion and it removes burning, and then maybe gives some sort of bonus if you were burning and stuff like that. So everything that they expect will be very reactive, like health. You want to use because you're low on health, and mana you want to use because you're low on mana. And so they don't really want you to be like just spamming flasks for the sake of spamming flasks, which is good. But yeah, I agree that one, obviously the number one thing that we both saw, I'm sure, if we're going to talk about negatives at all, is this fucking UI. But yeah, the piano flasks or all the flasks.
I thought the UI's got to get updated. Like before it goes live, I'm hoping
it's got
they hire
a
UI developer to please like come fix that.
Yeah.
So
not that Diablo 4's UI is great, but I mean we definitely know what UI can be from Lost Ark.
There's a bug that just flew in my room somehow. Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah,
it does look bad. It looks just like POE.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it any different at all? Like,
yeah, it is different. It's like
I haven't played POE in a while.
It's a bit more detailed, but it's still like really basic.
I feel like they're trying to do like this old school ARPG appeal thing, like, and it's okay. Just like give us at least a classic frame. If you want to keep this shit, like put a classic toggle in there that goes back to this UI.
Yeah.
But give us some new age Lost Ark style UI or something. Right.
I would argue that no, just give us the Lost Ark. Don't have multiple versions of the UI. That's just not good.
I don't care if you want to have an old one.
business.
As long as I don't have to use it. So,
But that still goes back to the argument of like if you tune into a streamer and like streamer X has, interface Y, and then streamer Y.
if you have two
interface
choices,
X.
you have new or old. It's like okay.
Okay. I guess it's only two. That's fine. But
he's using the old UI. It doesn't have to be customizable like WoW's or anything.
But
Just
what
make it.
two head would wear the old?
Yeah, there's gonna be those, Mr. Llamas out there talking about I want the old UI. So
Yeah. Well, he could say playing Diablo 2. But okay, so that there's that.
I just to go back to the mana management thing though, I'm not a huge fan of mana management in games in general either. I did like how they separated mana reserves and your spirit, how they kind of pulled those away. I don't know if that's a talking point you want to hit later, but so I do hope the mana management side isn't crazy because I don't find that a super fun mechanic. Like just let me use my big boy skills and do my damage that way.
But then if there's not mana management involved, is it just you're relying on the animation times to sort of control?
Yeah, I mean, there could be a little bit. I just don't want it to be, every boss fight I'm on my last mana flask. Like, oh, I'm about to run out of mana, like I don't know. Yeah, I think animation canceling could maybe be okay. Positioning yourself, waiting for attack periods. Maybe you're playing a defensive thing until the boss gives you a gap to attack. I don't know. I don't know how they want to design it, but mana management does not sound appealing to me. So hopefully they nail it and make it fun. I also said cooldown management wasn't appealing too until I played Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So I was like, I hate cooldowns, and then I played Lost Ark, and I'm like, I love this shit. This is amazing. So give me more, please. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do love the idea that it's like, yeah, we don't want you to have a cooldown. Like we want you to like sort of react to the situation and be utilizing your dodge, and big things take a long time. Like I like the idea. I'm wondering how it's gonna work in practice. But these guys are ARPG indies, so I'm sure they've tried some stuff, but we'll see. But yeah, to touch on the thing that you said too is so the aura the mana reservation's going away, which is great. Now there's a third pool called Spirit, and you can get like more Spirit by killing bosses, and it'll sort of be in like it'll be like a cooler renown system. Basically, it's like you play through the game every league or whatever, and as you like do stuff, you get more Spirit. I think that idea is pretty cool.
I do like the idea. I do like the fact that they separated it from your mana reserve. I think that's a super amazing change. I think mana reserving was stupid, and as soon as I started doing it in PoE, like I hate this system. Like I really hate this system, and so I never found the appeal. Of course, we did it though. I tapped myself down to where I didn't even have a mana bar. Like I couldn't even see it. So. But no, it's cool. I like the system. And they said something in there. They said that bosses can drop plus spirit items. I don't know what. I can't remember what they said it was.
Yeah, it's not like farmable stuff. It's like the first time you kill the boss, it'll drop a...
Yeah. You get like a thing. So there's 100 bosses. Renown. So you go farm your bosses and get your spirit. Yeah. So
sounds cool.
Cool the first time, second, third, fourth, fifth time, maybe not as cool. I don't know.
But it's like something you're doing anyways. You know what I mean?
Well, but you could say that about Diablo as well.
No, you're not going around and fucking
doing all the
waypoints again, and like you're just playing through the campaign.
But doing the dungeon to get the aspects, it's
that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
We're killing the bosses.
What they've described is this like plus spirit system. It's not like, oh, well, you have to go do everything like out of your way. You don't have to do this content. It sounds like we're just going to get all the spirit by the time we finish the campaign, and it's just like when you kill a boss, it's going to be a major event.
And maybe they said more, and like I didn't watch every panel or every interview. I don't remember. I remember them saying it dropped off bosses, and and they had 100 bosses. So I'm like, oh, we're going to be farming all the bosses to all the zones. Basically every zone had a boss to it, is what I think I remember them saying. So yeah.
But yeah, also what I found interesting about the spirit system in particular was that minions will now cost the spirit. So you can have like whatever, you can have as many of X minion as you want, as long as you have the spirit to do it. So you could be like, I want to be like a golem guy, and now you don't have to get like weird golem items. You can just like summon as many golems until you run out of spirit. Same thing with like skeletons, same thing with like wherever the Pokedex thing that they talked about too, which is cool. It's like now you can store like basically captured mobs like in like a Pokedex, basically, which is really cool. So like there's gonna be a lot of cool builds come out of that. But yeah, I thought that was super duper interesting as well. But man, there's just like so much to hit here. 12 character classes. 12. Which so some of you might be wondering how. So basically every starter node that we can think of right now in Path of Exile. So like the Shadow, the Marauder, the Witch, the Duelist, the Ranger. I think that's all of them, right? The 5 or whatever. No, and then Templar 6. Basically, and they all ascend, right? They all have their own separate ascendancies. Now we basically get like double. They're doubling it. So now but like Shadow will also have the Monk on that side of the tree, and Witch will also have I forget what it's called, the Sorcerer, I think. And then the Templar will have but there's 6. There's 12 in total now, and each of those will have their own ascendancies. So there's going to be 36 ascendancies overall, and each of these sort of new classes are going to start in sort of areas of the tree that we already know, and they're completely deleting Scion, which is the one that starts like in the middle, which is great. So that is just insane. Like we don't even know. They like last time they sort of showcase like some of their ascendancy ideas, but this time they didn't give us any more juice in that department. So like that's a lot of content in and of itself. Wow. What'd you think? Like you saw some of the new classes. There's got Druid, Templar, there's like a Warrior, there's who's the guy in the bottom now that's not Duelist? I don't remember. Huntress?
Yeah, I don't remember. I just muted myself. I didn't realize I had muted myself.
Whoops.
My bad. Yeah, I did see some, and it was pretty cool seeing the 12, and then I was like, oh, that's a lot, and it was like, oh, and each one has 3 ascendancies. Oh, there's 36. Let's go. Which seemed cool. I've kind of been wanting to do poison stuff lately, or some kind of dot.
Bro, get your own shit.
No. Listen, you can't have everything.
I don't. I played Necro and Diablo, and I played Poison and PoE. Get your own shit.
Yeah, I think that Witch seemed pretty cool. I mean, I'm like, oh, if something out sounded cool, like I've never really played a Witch in an ARPG. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what we come out with. So there's lots of classes.
The new skill gem system is really cool. So you know how you've played Path of Exile, and some of you guys in chat obviously play Path of Exile. So, the way it works right now is you're playing the campaign, and maybe you do a quest, and it unlocks like gems to be purchasable from the vendor, and then there's like level requirements on certain gems, and like, okay, well then if I really want to use this support gem, like, well, I gotta wait until Act 4 after I do this one quest, and then it'll open up from the vendor, and then and it's just a pain in the ass because you basically had to map out exactly like how you're going to get your skill gems league after league, which wasn't like a huge pain in the ass, but it's just like it wasn't a good system. So the way they're doing it now is basically these uncut gems will be drops, and then again, Path of Exile's skill system is that you'll have basically 9 base skills. And then each of those can become 6 linked, which is just insane.
Yeah, so you're gonna have 9 6 links.
9 6 links,
which is I thought that too. I'm like, do I not understand what they're saying, or are they saying we're gonna get 9 6 links? Yeah. Is what I kept thinking. I was like, that can't be right. That's crazy powerful.
But you get these uncut gems as you're like leveling and stuff like that, and then you get to select from like basically a giant skill book exactly what you want to take, which is
I wonder if they're going to give you the cuts out of the gate too, or if they're going to make you earn those somehow.
Yeah, I was thinking that get too. Like 1 uncut. Like I'd hope.
No. I'm saying like, let's say you get an uncut gem at level 20. Like, are you going to be able to cut it to anything you want, or are you going to have to unlock? Let's say I wanted it to be like Poison Scythe, whatever, right? And like, oh, I don't know that cut though. Like I have to go you go to the jeweler and you're like, hey, I want to cut this to poison scythe. Is he going to be like, nah, you don't have that cut
No,
yet.
so the
Go
way
find
you
it."
right click the uncut gem, and then it goes to like this massive skill book, and you
Yeah,
pick
but are you
out
going
of
to have to
everything.
unlock that?
No,
like
yeah,
he's
you
just going
pick
to
out
let
of
you
everything.
pick it
Yeah,
out of
they
the gate.
showcased it. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude might have just already had them all. So I wonder if that's the system. Like I'm
No, they
maybe
showcased
said
the
it-
uncut gem system. The guy right clicked, and then he went and picked out the skill that he wanted out of this massive skill book, and then he like just put it on.
Yeah, I saw it. I know what you're
Okay.
saying. I just don't know if you get all the stuff in the spell book out of the gate. Is what
You
I'm
don't
saying.
get it all. You just get whatever you select with the uncut gem. That's how it works.
Well, how are you not following me? Sir?
Because you're not a POE Andy, so you're not even making sense.
Okay.
But yeah, obviously with that, there's 240 skill gems, 200 support gems. And chat, just to make this clear, people are reading this and they're like, wow, okay, there's going to be 240 ways to play the game. That's not what that means. Like literally there's like a factorial of every like 240 skill gems, 200 support gems, and then plus uniques and all that stuff on top of it. Like there's just like infinite ways to play any one skill in Path of Exile. It's actually insane. But wow. And we get 9 6 links. And that's not even like to touch on that. 9 6 links on your character. So, before we saw all these announcements from this year, we're thinking, wow, like last year after I saw the announcements and we're getting like 9 6 links, that's really crazy. I could play like Venom Gyre, and then for bosses I could have like Viper Strike, because like I'm sort of gearing the character exactly the same. But Venom Gyre isn't necessarily great for a single target, but now that can be potentially solved, which is really cool in and of itself. But to add more to that, they introduced this system called Dual Specialized. So just basically think of it, if you're a Diablo 4 Andy in chat, it's basically like the Barbarian Arsenal system, but like on fucking crack. So
World of Warcraft already did that.
Did they? Something like this?
No, they just put a dual spec system in. But,
Oh, that's not the same. That'd be like the Armory kind of thing.
kind of.
Can you switch? Can you be dual spec? Like, can you switch in combat?
Not on the fly. It's not the same.
Yeah,
I'm just giving a little shit, but it is really dope. Like when you switch your weapons, your talents also swap over. The question that I didn't I was getting interrupted during this part, so maybe you can clarify. When you're dual specking these, it's not is it coming from the same talent pool? Are you wasting talents to have the dual spec, or do you get double talents?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So basically, like, so say you're level 20 and you have 20 skill points to choose from, right? And so you put on weapon 1 and you allocate the points. You put on weapon 2 and you allocate the same 20 points, but you don't like double dip.
Yeah,
like
you get 20 points. So let's say I got daggers and two-hand axes, right? So I put 20 points in daggers, and when I switch to my two-hand axe, do I get those 20 points back to respend? Or am I like, oh, I'm out of points now because I spent them all on daggers. I don't have the points for my two-hand axes.
It's like a totally like separate
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I got interrupted in that, and I didn't get to. I don't remember the outcome of that of my thought there. That is kind of cool, man. Like I don't know. Again, this is part of this whole system here. I think is the big innovation, the risk that PoE is taking that Diablo 4 didn't take.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're innovating in this dual spec weapon system, dual spec talent system, and this could change. Like if this pops off, if this is really good, this could be a thing that other ARPGs are going to steal and or use forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But so obviously this is huge. Like this has so many implications as someone that plays Path of Exile. So like before last ExileCon, I was like, okay, cool. I can be like a Viper Strike, and they'll be my good single target, and I could be a Venom Gyre for my range, right? But this is like, holy shit, I could be like a Venom Gyre attack build, and then I could switch to my like, magic wand and shield, and all of a sudden I'm a spellcaster, and like,
yeah, but
all in the same guy.
It gets better.
Yeah, it
gets better.
Actually, fucking crazy.
Because and maybe you're going to talk about this, but they let you also assign the weapon loadout to the skill gem.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you don't have to like switch.
You don't even have to switch and then be like, oh, I got to hit these keys.
Right.
You can just hit the fucking skill, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
let me pull out that weapon for you, sir. Like that's going to be crazy awesome. That's really cool.
It's so cool. But yeah, so wow, that pretty much blew everyone's mind. Just to see skill trees assigned on the fly and the way you could do it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it makes, because it, like they were saying in the thing, like the dual weapon system was really just a way to level gems, and it was like, this is kind of a weird system, and every now and then I'd hit the wrong key and switch my weapons on accident as a new POE guy.
Right, yeah.
And if you're new to POE and you do that, you're like, what's happening? I don't understand. And then you're like, oh, I switched weapons, damn it. And you switch them back. But yeah, it's going to be cool to actually see this be something that's worthwhile, not like, oh, there's this leveling gem thing in my offhand. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
So
actually crazy. Path of Exile 2 also features 700 equipment base types, and every single one has its own unique item you can find, and you can augment your arsenal with new weapons such as spears, crossbows, flails, blah, blah, blah. So there's two things in this section that are just actually nutty. So one thing is they showcased, especially in some of the demo that the sorcerer people were playing, is that like weapons can come with a skill on it, which is pretty crazy. Like this crystal staff, for example, it has level 1 unleash, and so unleash is a skill that we know from Path of Exile where it makes something you cast multiple times, and so people were like comboing this with like the ice meteor, which is really, really cool. And it's not tied, so like normally you'd think of like, oh, it's got unleash on it, so I need to 6-link that staff and then link things with on that staff that will be really good with unleash, but that's not how it works anymore. You just have the 9 base skills, and so like nothing's tied to your weapon anymore. So like some of the combos and the ideas can just be actually nutty, and I love that. But on top of that, what was the other thing that we saw here? Fuck. New uniques. Oh, and that was the other thing. So they talked about currencies, and so orbs of chance, which from Path of Exile 1, if you guys play, like anytime you use an orb of chance on an item, it has a chance to like upgrade to a magic or a rare, or on a super super duper rare occasion it will be a unique, and it'll be the unique of whatever that base type is. And so like you end up, like for me example, I play SSF, and so I spam, maybe I want a hunting spear and I'm spamming orb of chances on league because I want the unique type. But now orbs of chance will always give you the unique from that base type. So one, that's amazing because SSF, log in, I can just get whatever I want as long as I find an orb of chance, which I assume will just be like super rare now. But love that, absolutely love that. That's going to be a really, really great change, I think, overall.
Speaking of currency, there's gold in the game now.
Yeah, that was really like wild to see as well. Yeah. So one of these, we sort of see the currencies changing, and what you touched on, like the gold. Like, so gold is now in Path of Exile. When they talked more about it in a panel later on, they said that gold is sort of currency you're going to be using at these vendors. Vendors going to be a huge part of Path of Exile 2. The crafting bench is going away. So like the ability to be like, oh, I'm short on fire res, I'm just going to like craft fire res on this piece of gear. Now apparently that's somehow made up for in this gold vendor system. So like mobs drop gold, and if you need fire res, well, I guess you can somehow get it from this vendor, and like you swap out the gear. And gear, that's the big thing about this whole system, is like gear is no longer tied to your skills. So it's not like this, I'm sure you experienced this, like this giant pain in the ass to swap out any piece of gear.
You swap out a single piece and you're like, fuck, dude. It's like a whole, I've as a new player, I've broken my gear so many times where after I swap it out, I'm like, oh, I don't have enough XYZ. And it's like, damn it. And then you're sitting there and it's like, well, I need to buy another piece to replace this because then I can get the stat back that I need, but then I have to switch this gem into there. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah. These aren't linked. Let me fuse these for half an hour and spend all my currency on that, and whatever the case is. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not fun. I imagine the gold. So from what they said, from what I remember hearing, is that the gold was going to be very limited in use. Like maybe you buy your town scrolls, town portals, or identification scrolls or whatever with gold, which is, I think as a new player, a lot of the trading systems, like throwing a couple potions or some things to get a potion upgrade. You know, what was it? 3 of a lower tier gives you a better, like all those kind of weird combos that you just wouldn't know unless you were randomly throwing stuff into the vendor trade window to figure out or looking it up on a website. Maybe it'll help alleviate that just a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, they said that those are staying. So vendor recipes, you know, for stuff that is applicable to POE2, I guess all stays in the game. But yeah, apparently this vendor system is supposed to be like the sort of solution for the crafting bench. I think it's wild to think about because, you know, we're not just using the crafting bench to be like put fire res on gear. When we play the campaign, absolutely. But later on, it's sort of like becomes like, at least as an SSF Andy, like it's such a huge part of the game to be able to be like, well, I need to craft life on this. I've got this really good piece of rare gear. It seems like one more affix on it. Like, so I'm really curious to see how that's going to go down and like the multi-modding, all that stuff. How's that going to work? But who knows? Yeah. I'm sure they have an idea in mind. But wow, that part's insane as well. New end games. At the conclusion of Path of Exile 6 Act campaign, you'll gain access to the new end game. Each has more 100 end game maps with its own boss fight and modifiers, just like we'd expect from Path of Exile 1. And that's sort of all they alluded to on that front. But sort of the sad announcement of all this, which isn't really sad, but it is sad.
It is sad. Yeah.
June 7th, 2024 is when the closed beta will start.
Almost a year from now, boys. Whew.
A long time.
That was like a punch in the gut for me personally, because I was pretty hyped up. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, wait, June 7th? I'm like, yeah, wait, 24. Hold on, what? Oh, no. So not like this. So yeah, man, that does kind of suck. Yeah. And it's not even a launch date; it's the closed beta date. So the launch could be another year after that. We could be still talking 2 years before we see the game. So like you said, which is cool because they announced it in 2019, right?
Yeah.
So you know they're spending their good time making sure they don't release a open beta like other companies, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Path of Exile doing the thing where, like, you know, like the Fortnite, or like where the game's like not
the
live
beta is
yet.
the actual live for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah,
I could see them doing that, but
PUBG, like that's PUBG's been out 15 years and still in closed beta.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, I could see that too. I you know, that's the only disappointing news, but it comes with a caveat of sugar is that it's. You know, hopefully it'll be polished when they release it. Mm-hmm. So
I do expect, you know, it's GGG, so there'll be bugs for sure, but
yeah.
But yeah, that was but you know, at the same time, take your time, you know.
Crowd
obviously we want it now.
When they said it. Yeah, they were like, oh.
Yeah. We want it now, but at the same time, I don't want them to be in like a Diablo 4 situation where the game's just clearly not ready and it gets pushed out anyways, so
yeah.
That's just not good for press. But yeah, that was sort of most of the POE2 stuff. Was there anything else that like you sort of that jumped out at you?
No, I think we hit most of it. I don't know, man. Oh, they're it seems like they're putting a little emphasis on co-op. With the way that they changed DR, I think they might see that's another thing that I feel like they might innovate a little bit is with their DR system. And how they're going to so their example that they used is how bosses were all like immune to frost or cold to get frozen. And they made it like a stackable buff that it kind of is like a stagger bar is how I kind of took it. And they could, you know, attack a boss until your DR builds up enough to freeze them. But on co-op, it seemed like they were getting more stuns than you would in solo. And I hope that they do something interesting with that. I don't know if they, you know, really talked about much more, but POE1 to me has like no co-op value.
None.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's no reason to want to play with a buddy in POE. And I hope that they can find a way to make that not a thing in POE2. Because I would definitely I like to play games with friends. So for me personally, who's not an SSF Andy, I would be about that hop in with your buddy life.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I this is the one thing I feel like they didn't touch on a lot. The only thing they sort of said was like, you know, there's I think 6 to 8 players or something like that per group.
They said 6. Yeah,
Okay.
6, I believe. Yeah, which was a lot.
And the other part was like, well, you know, we're fine with Aurabots still, and Aurabots will definitely still be a thing. So I don't know. I don't know if it like somehow because the gameplay is slower, it's better for grouping. We'll see. But
I don't really care so much as I don't want to like. So I'm gonna take. I have never played POE with an Aurabot because I've never really grouped with anybody but you. So Aurabots, I'm assuming would be like an equivalent of a D3 support.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what they're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I'm not super opposed to that. I don't think that's compelling gameplay. Everybody wants to pew pew, but if they do make it feasible, I didn't mind pushing D3 and playing the Z Monk or the Z Barb or whatever, right? It was okay. I didn't hate it. I don't want to specifically only play that. But if I had a character or a loadout that I could swap to and say, yeah, I'll play Z Monk or I'll play whatever in PoE, I would do that. I think the thing that they hopefully address is like, what reason do I have to play with buddies? Is it going to help me to play with a buddy? Is it going to help my buddy to play with me? If it's a two-way beneficial bridge for us to play together, I think that will incentivize playing with people, and that could be fun. That could be cool.
yeah.
I don't know how they do that. And GGG is innovative, so hopefully they come up with a good system. So Diablo 3 did it with experience. Like so monsters in Diablo 3 had plus 75% health, but you're adding another player. So if the player's doing equal damage, now you've just got 25% more damage for free, basically, right?
Well,
So you know, and they gave you an XP buff. So you're clearing mobs faster, plus you have an XP buff in D3. I don't necessarily think those are great incentives, but it's enough to keep you playing with buddies, you know, plus the Z characters.
the incentive is there already in Path of Exile. It is better to like it's better for like loot, it's better for experience to play in groups, but the experience sucks. Like the actual experience of playing with other players in Path of Exile 1 is just atrocious. But it is better for you to do if you're all about like being efficient and like making crazy amounts of currency. It's better. So like the incentive is there. It's just like it feels so terrible to do that like so hopefully that Path of Exile 2 sort of aims to solve that part of it.
That's it. That's a big win for me if they can you know, improve that feature. So
right.
This fly that's flying around my office is about to make me shut my camera off. Go ham, dude. I swear. This little bastard. I don't know where he came from. He's hasn't been here all day. He is killing me right now. So
But okay, so on top of all this other stuff, right? We knew that guess what? New Path of Exile 1 League is coming. It's called Trial. Okay, chill the fuck out.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I dozed off for just a second. What were we talking about?
Path of Exile 1 is getting a new league soon. Actually, I think it's in like August 11th or something like that. I'm just gonna pull up the details as we talk about it and watch this trailer. But yeah, so Trial of the Ancestors starts in 15 days, August 18th, which is pretty sexy. And with this particular league's mechanic is basically an auto battler. I don't know if you've ever played these types of games.
Yeah, I mean, no, I haven't spent much time playing these types of games, but I know what they are, and I could, you know, I got a sense of the system. It looks appealing if you like that kind of game mode as a PoE mechanic. It doesn't feel like it's a super strong ARPG mechanic. I feel like if you like auto battlers, you're probably pogging out, and if you don't, you're like, why the hell did they do this? So,
yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I'm someone that enjoys the leagues that are a bit more like big brain than just like click the pylon and kill things.
Yeah.
So I did really enjoy Blight, the tower defense league. I still really enjoy Blight.
I thought it was cool too. I love tower defense games in general, though,
yeah.
So.
And I think that, you know, at a certain point, Blight becomes silly because your character gets like so strong that like you're not really playing tower defense anymore. You're just playing like a click, right? Yeah. So I wonder if this will sort of feel the same at some point, but it is. I mean, it was a matter of when. Like when is any popular game type you can possibly think of that is like big on Twitch or whatever for a while, or even if it's like a fad, like that is probably going to come to like a Path of Exile league at some point. So like this is sort of like super
Did they
expected
do our
from me.
BR idea? Did they ever do the BR idea?
Yeah, they had BR.
Yeah, thank you. Copy that from New Meta Podcast.
Right.
Appreciate it.
And it was pretty popular for a while. They did like Twitch rival stuff on it, but it sort of fell off. But yeah, so you know, Auto Battler is coming to Path of Exile 1. That's pretty insane. The rewards are really cool. The tattoos I really like. Tattoos will basically replace a small or whatever, like it'll replace a node on your tree with something else. So like some of the examples they give
here. Could you imagine if like the tattoos you picked in D4 actually like did something
right
at all? You know, like God, that'd be crazy.
Wow, that would be kind of mad because it'd be like, well, you pick a tattoo once and then it's like what you get 8% like fire res or something in Diablo 4.
You could change it in your wardrobe, but yeah,
it'd be like meh.
I don't know. I mean.
But this is insane. So these tattoos are basically like augments to your passive skill tree. So you just change like if you're like a dex character and you don't really have a reason for stacking dex and you only need like 140 for your best skill, anything over that's sort of worthless. And so you can sort of use these tattoos to give you something that is more enticing. Like, you know, more movement speed, base lightning damage, which seems absolutely crazy. Reservation efficiency. Like some of these are just nutty. So yeah, that's really cool. And with that, I think that in the trailer said there's like more powers coming to the tree. I don't see it here in like the actual content of it. New items, of course, 16 new Atlas. So at Atlas, that's what it was. The Atlas skill tree, you can really spec stuff that you're interested in. So you could be like, I really like, what is this shit called? Oh, Expedition. And then you just make Expedition like really, really godly, and like that's all you want to farm. Again, more ways to sort of custom tailor the game, the end game, exactly how you want. So like you hate Abyss, you can cut all those leagues out and sort of focus on like the leagues that you really like, which is really cool. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that. They really sold this whole like now you can craft your Val side areas. To me, as someone that didn't really play the Val League or never runs these Val outside areas, it was like, I don't know the value of this, but maybe some of the longer term players for Path of Exile could enlighten me as to why that's good. Another example they give is, basically more Maven spawning, which is great if you're trying to farm Maven, because I think Maven's the only way to get awakened gems. New supports as part of this game, 14 new support gems for this upcoming league. One of the ones they show here is sort of something I already have as an anointment, but to see it as a skill gem is pretty cool. But yeah, 14 new support gems is pretty big. I think that's the most gems we've seen in a while at Path of Exile. A Ascendancy rework to both the Chieftain and the Guardian classes. I always thought the Chieftain was in an okay place, so I was kind of surprised to see it, but I guess the Chieftain really only played like some fire builds, and I guess now it's going to be better. Same thing with Templar. Again, I never really played Templar, so I can't really touch on like how great these changes are, but people seem to be freaking out. And then yeah, they just showcased like the new supporter packs, the new uniques, which honestly none of the uniques they showcased seemed like that crazy or that exciting, sexy. But yeah, obviously Path of Exile 1, like it's coming, it's huge. They always are. Exciting stuff, and it's coming soon. It's coming in 15 days.
I hope they can match the 1.1.1 patch notes.
Yeah.
So
I think that they'll probably
just saying the bar set pretty high.
Yeah, so. Totally. Oh yeah, that's something too. Sanctum is coming back. So Sanctum is one of the older leagues that they had decided at the time to not roll over. It's coming back, and it's going to be part of the base game now. So that's pretty big news. I never played Sanctum, so like I'm excited.
Back, Sanctum.
Yeah, I'm excited to not only get to play this new auto battler league, but also get to try Sanctum basically for the first time. So it'll be like a double value league for me personally. So that's exciting. They also announced that, and I don't have the tweet for this, but Crucible will not be rolling over. and I don't think there's any intention for its mechanics to sort of roll over. So sad egg. But it's not that it was that great, anyways. But yeah. Anyways, outside of that. Oh, and Bex tweeted that so the patch notes for Trial the Ancestors will come late next week. So
there we go.
A whole week before the league launches itself.
So 2 weeks from now, you'll be playing new POE.
And then
are you done with Diablo when that happens?
Yeah, I'll probably be. I mean, if it's a good league, especially, I'll be going ham on that. Plus, gosh, like I can't. It's hard to imagine. Like right now, I'm having fun because, there's sort of like a bunch of. I still feel like untapped builds for the Necromancer, and that's what's been fun for me. But leveling this character again, and I'm like, I think I'm 86 now. Yeah, it's pretty sleeper.
Yeah, it gets pretty sleeper pretty quick. For me, as soon as you got done with the seasonal quest chain, like once I did the seasonal stuff, I'm like, I can't. Like it's just,
I feel that.
I can't make myself do any more nightmares or any more. Like just can't. Mm-hmm. So, gotta go play something else.
Yeah. Well,
which
obviously you're gonna play Trial of the Ancestors, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I'm stoked. I can't wait.
Great.
So gonna fire it up. Gonna buy some supporter packs.
This is sort of the last thing that was kind of interesting. Just so we have some numbers. But 448,000 peak viewers on Twitch which makes it, I think, one of the most watched game conventions.
That's pretty big. That has to rival some pretty big stuff. I'm trying to think what else I've seen. I haven't seen those numbers. I actually was watching was it the season 1 reveal trailer on Twitch and for Diablo 4, and man, the numbers were way lower than I thought they would be.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Yeah, it was very, very much not what I expected.
So I mean, yeah, D4 probably give him free publicity to the Exiles. But yeah.
Yep.
Wow, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. As just in case people don't know or aren't aware, I can't imagine you've watched the podcast and didn't know. I'm not a POE fanboy. Fluff is, but I'm not. So
big time.
My level of hype comes just from an ARPG fan. Like I'm excited that they're innovating the genre. I do think POE is a great game. It just didn't capture me in a way that made me want to no life it. But I'm excited because there was a huge void that I was hoping D4 was going to fill for me, and it just didn't at all. And so, not that I'm, shitting on the game. I think the game could be good years down the road, but I hope that POE2 can really scratch that itch that I have for ARPGs. And it seems like they're starting over with a lot of systems. So as people who are POE noobs, you can come in, and I'm sure you'll be behind the 8 ball a little bit, but not as bad as we would have been or could have been. So it'll be fun.
And it honestly, like everything I've been seeing for Path of Exile, before I'd always be like, well, they should play some Path of Exile 1 just so that like, okay, when those leagues roll over, you'll have some knowledge of how they work, or when, the system, the Atlas skill tree, like all this other stuff sort of rolls over, you'll be somewhat prepared, even though it'll probably change. But now, like the more I keep seeing of this game being unveiled, like I don't know that it will necessarily help, because like it seems like basically everything's changing.
They'll have some core systems in that will make sense really quickly, I'm sure, to POE
links,
1 vets.
Like skill links,
that stuff, stuff like that. Yeah, like they'll have some inherent huge advantages, but it won't be to the fact, like if a new POE player comes in now, like you have so much to learn just to even be able to even play the game without looking up a guide or going, what is this, or what just killed me, or I don't know what happened. I can't even tell you how many times I died in POE, and then I'm like, I have no idea what just happened, and I have to go back and watch a replay and be like, oh, I guess that thing hit me, or I didn't even see anything, I'm just dead, so there'll be a lot that POE could, but it'll be fun to come in as a new player. I hope it's a good breaking point for new players to join up and really invest. So
yeah, we'll see.
Let's get into some Fluff hates, PChild loves, man. You got something for the day?
Yeah, I think I had a loves too. Oh yeah, so loves. I was surprised by this, honestly, but Intel gave me a new processor, so good for them.
Really?
Yeah.
You had to ship your old one back, and was it a big hassle?
I actually
or they
didn't.
were just like,
No, they just sent me a new one. They just
really?
yeah, no questions asked.
Yeah, there you go. Microsoft owned company. Let's go.
That's my loves. So that was good because that's $600 processor that just got fried from playing Diablo.
Did they make you ship your old one back?
No, nothing.
That's crazy,
right?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is rare these days.
Yeah. But hates, as I saw this, and I don't know how to present this sensitively. But I've there's people I follow on like Instagram and like I think one of them in particular, they're going through a pretty hard time because something pretty bad happened in their life. And to be fair, like, it is a very tragic thing that has happened. But recently they made a post, and maybe I'm not a terrible human being, but recently they made a post that was like, this type of pain, because I've experienced, X event, like this is the worst pain a human can like feel. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to a human. And I get like, you're in a sad place and like it sucks. Like the thing that happened definitely sucks. But I think it's like so narrow to think that whatever pain you're experiencing, however severe it is for you, is like the worst pain a human could experience. To like just say that like, yeah, this one thing is like, this is the worst thing a human can experience. Because like to me, it's like there's always something worse. There's 100% always something that could be worse, and that's what like
been kidnapped in Baghdad lately. Yeah, it's like no, you're chilling,
right?
So
and so to me, and like that's almost why it's hard for me. Anytime I start to feel like even remotely like sorry for myself or bad for myself, this is something that I don't know if it came from traveling, but really early on in life, for me in particular, was just like it could always be worse. It could always be 100% worse. So it's like it's really difficult to sort of like stew in something negative for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, people cope in different ways. I think personally posting stuff on social media is a little cringe because it feels like you're just trying to get sympathy. Like if you're really, I don't know. I guess everybody copes differently. For me personally though, I think if you're putting it out there frequently, like it's okay if you post one thing like, hey, you may not see me as much, or I may be different for a little while because XYZ happened. That's cool. You're just telling people what's up. But if you're like, oh, I'm just so sad today, I can't get out of bed or whatever, like I feel like you're just fishing for stuff, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Like, there's like a double-edged sword with that. Like one is like you can get maybe hooked on the dopamine of like other people lifting you up, which is really sort of negative. Or two, like you're just literally posting for attention, which is super duper negative.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My loves. Yeah. My loves. So I watched there's a new TV show on Paramount Plus called Lioness. It's pretty cool. Check it out if you haven't. There's always Saldana in it. She's like in charge of this special undercover secret ops government unit that goes and tries to catch bad guy terrorists. And she's recruiting she lost some recruits and she's trying to get some new recruits, and it's cool. Like it's an army style government show. I'm telling you, man, as soon as we end this podcast, I am playing some murder on this fly. He keeps trying to land on my face.
I thought you were going to say like, I'm going to go watch this show.
No. As soon as the pod's over, this fly is getting it. I'm telling you what.
We're going to see a post from you later.
My stream room's going to be destroyed. Yeah, it's going to be destroyed. But no, so the show's good. I dig it. It's made by the same guy that wrote Yellowstone and a couple other shows that I like. I don't know if you've ever seen Yellowstone, but I guess he probably has he's done a couple like government, Secret Service type shows. He must have some knowledge in how they work and operate, I guess. But yeah, and so my hates is The Witcher, man. I actually like the first 2 seasons of Witcher. I don't know if you started watching them or if you watched them.
And I was like, I was watching like the first 5 minutes, and I was like, I don't remember a single fucking thing that happened.
So like I didn't remember a lot about the Witchers either. I mean, I watched the recap, and that kind of brought back some memories. But man, season 3 is absolute dog. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and it was a struggle to make it through them. Yeah. I'm like, these are horrible, and I really, really liked the first 2 seasons. I was pretty stoked for it. So I'm a little bummed that that it's, you know, that bad. So
yeah.
But yeah, my wife and I are going. Our anniversary is in 2 days.
Congrats.
So we're taking
How many
a
years?
trip. We've been married for 11 now.
Wow.
Been together for about 17. Been married for 11.
Crazy. I can't even make a relationship last 11 minutes, bro.
I know. Listen, hey, I know you're a minute man, but you got to work on that. Okay?
11.
You know, 11. Listen, 11 minutes is like a marathon these days. So, anyways, but yeah, so we're going on a little trip together. It's gonna be a good time.
Great.
So I'm excited for that. We're leaving tomorrow.
That's awesome. How much
so that I forgot about the podcast tonight.
How long have you gone? How long?
No, not long. Just a week.
Okay.
Just a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So nothing crazy. Yeah, dude. It'll be fun. So I'm disconnecting. I'll be unplugged. I mean, I have my cell phone, but no games, nothing. Been a while. I mean, I go a day every now and then without playing a game. I'll go a day or two, maybe once or twice a month, but I play a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be cool to unplug for a week and then come back and my eyes might work.
Yeah, maybe this is the break you needed from Diablo. Like maybe you'll come back and be like, you know what?
I'll come back and I'll be like, you know what? This end game is it is so good. I just can't wait to play it.
Yeah. Get out of this like ARPG depression you're in and start.
Listen, man, if we had a good one, I'd play it. POE's good. I honestly don't know what doesn't appeal to me about it, but there's just something. I wish I liked it, to be honest. I do.
Okay.
But maybe. I hope POE2 is the savior, because if it's not, then what do we got?
Yeah.
Could Lost Ark just like fix everything else but their combat? I don't, can they?
Yeah. I feel like Lost Ark should just like branch their game and like make an actual RPG instead of an MMO.
I thought about getting back into Lost Ark, and so I had a conversation with a buddy. I have a buddy that plays still to this day like crazy hard, right? And he has whatever their item level, power level, I forget what system they use. Whatever it is, he's like at the cap on a couple tunes. And the amount of he spends a little money, not crazy money, but he spends a little bit of money, like $10 on a pass every so often. And the amount of grind that he has to put in to stay relevant seems pretty crazy.
Mm.
It seems like it's, I don't know. It just seems like pretty crazy. And then so I asked about catching up as a new player, like, so let's say I jump back in, how hard, and to get to the end game, it seems like it would be, it's a little bit of a chore unless you wanted to spend some cash. So
like that.
Again, that's just one opinion, but
right.
It's a little disappointing to hear. I was like, I might come play again. He's like, well,
yeah,
take a long time to catch it. He's like, you're not going to find groups for this content,
right?
And then if you do find groups, they're going to be like, have you done this content? And if you're like, no, then you're not going to go you're not going to invite you, and so yeah, and then he's like, it'll take you forever to grind the mats. You need to upgrade your stuff to get to level. So he's like, good luck.
Yeah,
unless you spend some money.
My
that sucks.
IRL brother played a lot of Lost Ark, and sort of like every single time I talked to him, like the times we'd hang out or whatever, he'd sort of talk about, what's going on in the game, or like, oh, you should totally come back and play. Like this is what I'm doing. I'm like, so I would always ask stuff like what are you doing every day in that game? Like what are you logging to do? And he'd be like, well, I get on, I play like my main for like an hour, and then I log out and I get on my second character. And it's like, I just like, I hate that formula.
Yeah, you gotta have alts and Lost Ark to stay relevant. Like you have to.
Just, I'm not a big fan of that. But two, he was sort of talking about like, well, the raids are super fun. The Guardian raids are super fun, and then like the actual raids, like those are cool. Like they're well thought out. But just for me, like, and you probably love this tile stuff because you play WoW still, but like just logging into a game and any sort of content that's restricted behind like being in a party, being in an organized group, I am just in the current season of my life, I am over it. I played EverQuest 2 until the ends of the earth. We were the top rating guild in the world. I played World of Warcraft for a while. I was definitely nowhere near as good as that game. But like just the idea of playing a game where I'm sort of throttled behind other people is just not something that I even want to think about.
Yeah, I still play WoW Classic, Wrath of the Lich King, and I still raid. I raid on 2 characters every week, and most of the people in both of my raid groups are the same. There's a couple variants, but it does suck having to rely on people. Once you have a good group, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, especially if you get committed people that are good gamers, right? Then it becomes a good time. But having to be reliant on those people does kind of suck. And especially when, like, let's just say, you know, in WoW, it's 25 people. Let's say you have on your 25-man team, 3 of them are below average. Everybody else is really good. It's fine if you carry them through easy content. But if they put a boss or a mechanic that requires skill and they're screwing it up, it's really obvious who that weak link is. But then you're in this weird social situation where it's like, okay, I need to kick them from the team, but they're a IRL buddy of this guy, right? And so you kick them, and then their IRL buddy gets pissed, and he quits too. And then, oh, that other guy's his brother, so you lose him. And then XYZ is like, oh, that's my homie in the game. I'm gonna go to his new game. And so it's, you know, it's just this really big downfall. Right. Yeah, it's just there's just drama, and it's all because, you know, you're trying to manage 25 personalities on a team. And so that aspect of it, I'm with you. I'm over that to an extent, but it is fun to have challenging content that requires coordination and team play, because there's just some mechanics you can't make solo, right? You can't get the same. You couldn't get a raid experience from World of Warcraft if it was solo. You just couldn't. Like getting all the mechanics and like, okay, healers, you have to go do this, and tank, you have to do this. You can make somebody, you know, like simulate it with NPCs and stuff. It's just not the same, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are mechanics you have to rule out. I mean, I think PoE does boss fights really well, and like that's sort of, I don't know, it sort of fills that void for me personally. But it's definitely nowhere in depth. It's like, obviously raids can be designed around the idea of like having a massive party, and like certain players have to be doing this thing, and other players have to do that thing, and then everyone has to do one thing, and it's But
you don't need 25 or 40 people to have those complexities though. I agree. So Destiny did a really cool job, and I hated this in Destiny. Just like you said, it sucked trying to find people to do the raid, especially competent people. But some of Destiny's raids were like some of the most memorable gaming moments I've ever had. And it's like, you know, when we spent on launch day of, I don't even remember what Destiny expansion it was, but I put together a team of 6 people, myself included, and we, like, Destiny does a cool thing where if you beat the raid in the first 24 hours that it launches, you got like cool emblem and a thing, like, you know, you could buy a limited jacket that you had to have a code to get that they sent you when you beat the raid off an achievement. They did a lot of cool stuff. Of course, I didn't buy the jacket, but to have the emblem and to have the weapon or whatever other only first 24-hour things, those were huge. And so we go into the raid and we get to the final boss, but then I have members of the team that just can't do the mechanics, and it starts to get frustrating. You're like, come on, dude. Like, just, okay, I'll do your job, you do my job. And then he starts fucking up my job, right? And so, but they're friends, so you're trying to be cool. And then after like 6 hours of dying to this thing, you're starting to get frustrated, right? So eventually we got the thing, but I had to swap people out. I had to be like, okay, let's replace this guy with this guy and this guy with this guy. And then we, you know, do the thing. But that killing that boss after wiping on it for 12 hours, like that was pretty cool, man. It was a pretty big, like, that feels good. And the mechanics were amazing too. So I don't know. Definitely there are some good moments, but finding people, it sucks. It sucks to have to manage that, you know? So that's it. That's my loves.
Okay.
Not a lot of questions this week. We did some, we got a couple from the Twitters, or from the X, I should say now.
Oh God. My ex?
Yeah, your ex sent questions in. Hex says, how excited are you for POE2 after ExileCon, and what was your favorite thing from the reveal?
Yeah, obviously.
One thing we didn't hit on, and I wanted to get your opinion. I watched a lot of the streams after ExileCon. Specifically, Quinn was running around live streaming with his backpack setup, I believe is what he was using. I heard Quinn interview a couple people. A lot of the people, and from watching his gameplay, it seemed like they weren't very happy with the way the game played. So watching the trailer, I felt like it looked really good. Hearing people talk about their gameplay experience was drastically different, and them saying that it felt kind of meh, underpowered, slow, blah blah blah. So did you see that, or what did you hear? What did you see?
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe. That obviously it's sort of meant to be difficult, and they had said that on many occasions that, and it was sort of like that last time at ExileCon. Like it was more challenging than obviously the normal game. It plays a lot slower than the normal game. I think the last time it played slower because you're starting at level 1, and they definitely slowed down the gameplay from Path of Exile 1. But yeah, this time I don't know. It to me it was nice. It was refreshing. It was methodical. It was interesting to see, certain streamers do well, certain streamers get destroyed. But at the same time, they're also playing on setups that they're very unfamiliar, and
Yeah.
yeah.
That was one of the comments that Quinn made. He's like, I was playing on different setup, different hardware. My mouse sensitivity was janky. Like, everything was messed up. So, but yeah, I did see that. So, back to the question, how excited? I'm super excited personally because there's a big ARPG hole in my life, and I want POE2 to feel that, or to fill it. And what my favorite thing personally from the reveal was the weapon swapping, with talent swaps and gems being assigned to weapons. That whole system is just like, that's changing the game. So no ARPG's done that I've can remember, that I've seen. I don't know of anybody that's done that. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard not to agree with that. The skill swap and the ascendancy, like not ascendancy, but like the skill tree rebind and like doing all that on the fly, that really opens up to me just a ton of build possibilities. The idea of being a spellcaster and an attack build, to be a melee and a ranged guy, to my mind is racing with the amount of poison builds that we could potentially think of. And yeah, that was just insane.
yeah, I mean, could you do like a minion build and then sacrifice all of them and go to a single target, like, caster bomb dealer? Like I don't know, like some of the things that it's just like, it seems kind of crazy, like what possibilities this could potentially open up,
right? Yeah. And I think that's like sort of the big question, because we don't really know how items work. But like, right now in Path of Exile, the sort of restraint would be, so say I'm like an attacked poison based build, and I'm putting like physical damage to attacks, chaos damage to attacks on some of my gear slots. And obviously if I swap weapons, I'm going to have all this like worthless damage to attack stuff. So like maybe spellcaster / range or attack build wouldn't be that great, but we don't know how like gear is going to work. Yeah. So
could be cool.
Yeah.
And Blizzard's good at copying ideas and making them better. So maybe, this could be in D4 in 3 or 4 years.
Dude,
it'd be pretty cool.
Let's hope.
Navis Johnson said, what is the worst, best leftovers you can eat? Cold pizza is great. I say that's one of the best.
Cold pizza is good. I would say like a curry. A curry is always a good leftover. Curry is like one of my favorite.
Curry. The worst, cereal. You're gonna eat some leftover cereal and milk? You can't. Couldn't do it. It'd be soggy and nasty. There you go.
Worst.
What's worse than
any sort of
soggy old cereal?
If you get any food that is like has like bread, like if you got like a burger, right, and then you like go to eat it, and the bread is fucking nasty.
Well, French fries don't hold at all.
I'm not a French fry guy at all. So
how do you not like French fries?
We've talked about this 100 times.
That doesn't even make sense.
I just don't like French fries, dude.
That's right. You like sausage. I got it.
Yeah.
So, Solid Midnight says, what in this world would you walk 500 miles for? What would it take? What's the carrot on the end of the stick? I don't even it's hard for me to even fathom 500 miles. So 500 miles would be from here to Kansas City. How far is St. Louis to Kansas City? Let's look that up.
Yeah.
It's not 500, I don't think. I think like maybe 300. Let's see. I'm looking it up.
Me too.
247 miles, 250 miles. So how much would it take for you to walk to my house and back?
Like money, or are we saying like something?
Whatever. It doesn't say. So
yeah, what would it take? I don't know. Like for me, like honestly, I could do that. Like it's not. I could walk nonstop. Like I have something in me that's just like I don't. When it comes to walking, like obviously running is not like something that I love doing, but I can do like multi-day hikes where we're hiking. Like I think the most I ever did in one day was like 41 miles. So
that's
yeah,
way more than I've ever done. That's crazy. Somebody to do that.
And that was up a mountain. That was literally up a mountain. So like,
would you do it for $1 million?
Of course, easily. I would do it for way less. I'd probably do it for like.
Would you do it for 10K?
Well, it had to be like, I'd have to be able to rationalize like taking vacation to do it, because like it would take I don't know however many days.
10K is like it's nothing. It's not nothing.
Yeah, but like using my vacation days on just a walk from here to fucking St. Louis
and back. Yeah, it's 251 ways, so you have to go there and back. Get a hobbit tail.
It'd be 8 days if I just walked nonstop. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a great vacation.
50K?
I don't know. 50K, yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
It'd take $1 million for me to do it.
What? Why?
I don't think I'd even do it for 200.
Think of all the health benefits, right? Like you would.
No, I'd be unhealthy as fuck. I'd be walking on the highway, getting cars almost run me over.
Doesn't the Katy Trail go like from here? It'd be like a nice walk.
No, there's no way the Katy Trail stretches that far.
Yeah, it does. Katy Trail goes like all the way across fucking U.S.
Like you're gonna have to use the bathroom and eat and stuff. Are you crapping in the side of the highway or the woods or the Katy Trail? Like what? I don't think it does though. Does it?
I think so. All
right, let's see.
Let's look.
We're sitting here just Googling.
Yeah. This is a great podcast.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. Yeah, it would take a lot more for me than you apparently. So
yeah, it literally goes all the way across Missouri.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It goes all the way from like shit. Long.
Dirty Nap says the last thing you bought off of Amazon is your weapon for a bear fight. What's your attack plan?
Oh shit.
So is it the last thing because I bought something today I don't have yet. So does that count? If so,
yeah, the last thing you ordered. Oh fuck! I'm dead.
Fluff's fighting the bear with big pink handcuffs.
No, I got replacement wire filters for my espresso machine. I'm fucking dead.
Mine's not much better. I bought a pack of markers, so I got Sharpies to fight a bear with. Let me pull up my actual history to see if it wasn't the Sharpies that I ordered today. What would I be fighting him with?
If there's anything that I purchased, I made a dish soap. I could like try to get it in his eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna order a fly swatter after this podcast. I'm like, fly. I would be killing him with a magnetic charging cable.
Wow.
So, yeah, if it wasn't the Sharpies.
That's a better tool of defense than a replacement
and
water
a coffee
filter.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's see. Last question we have for the pod today comes from Coda. He says, I wonder if this is from personal experience. He says, you're on your first date and your date farts. How do you react? You're on a date and she just rips it.
I guess it depends on how she reacts.
Silent but deadly, or just like, no
well,
F's
just to
given.
say you hear it, right? But like, for me, it'd be, how does she react? Is she like, does she think it's...
She
think that
is she
funny?
like, oh my god, or is she like, baby, you hear that? Yeah.
For me, I think you and I talked about this.
That happened to me, by the way. I'll go over this story.
Okay, wow.
Okay. I just realized that happened to me.
6 years I was with Lindsay. We never farted in front of each other. I'm like there's some things that I think are private things, and I think farting is one of them. Yeah.
That's weird, dude.
It's not weird.
Saying. That's super weird.
It's not weird.
I don't want. Can we change the Twitter poll?
Fart and
hold on. Change the Twitter poll to see if that's weird. How about just chat, flood if it's weird or not? I think that's super crazy weird, personally. I do.
I'm just like, to me, I don't want to bridge that line. I don't want like my girlfriend to be comfortable like farting around me, and I don't really want her to hear me.
So you
fart.
never pooped in front of her either?
No, shut the fucking door, weirdo.
My wife literally like opens the door, walks in, and like does stuff while I'm in there taking a crap.
Dude,
Like,
no fucking shot.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Multiple
Yeah.
bathrooms go like no. There's things they should keep separate to me. Like there's like the illusion and like to keep the sex alive and stuff like that. You know, like just I don't want to hear you fart. I don't want to like see you shit.
Oh man. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, so my first date with my wife, actually, I did that to her, but it was kind of a odd thing. So I was at her house and we were like, I don't know if it was our first date. It was like one of our first dates. I don't think it was the first date, but it was probably like date 2 or 3. And I'm at her house and it's late at night and we might be cuddling on the couch or whatever. And I realized like my stomach was upset for dinner. So I'm like, can I use your bathroom? And she's like, yeah, it's over here, whatever. So, okay. So I go to the bathroom and I just rip ass in the bathroom, like forever. Like, I'm like, oh man, it was glorious. Right. And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling so much better. And then I, turn the water on and wash my hands. I'm just kind of stalling to let, the air
flow,
clear up a little bit. I didn't even use the restroom at all. And then I open the door and she's standing right there. And I'm like,
God.
what are you doing? And she's like, I have to use the bathroom.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
did you let it clear?
No. I'm like, you can't go in there. And she's like, why? Did you take a big old crap or something? And I'm like, just wait a little bit. And she was like, oh my God, you ripped that, like you took a shit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm like, I didn't. I just, I just farted, but it's, I was in the bathroom, like, come on, and she's bust my ass for it for like the whole rest of the night, dude. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's, I was like, seriously, like who, like I'm in the rest, like I was like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom to fart. That's it. It's all Twitter questions we had for today's episode. Another 3-hour podcast.
We knew this one was gonna be long.
Yeah. Next one will be an hour. I don't promise. So we will. If you guys want to catch more of me, you can catch me at X, aka Twitter, at ThaPChild. You can join our Discords. I think the links are in the description or in chat. Maybe there's a cool command, but discord.gg/ThaPChild I think is my URL for that. And drop your Twitter questions. Fluff and I both have Ask the New Meta podcast question sections. If you guys want to ask questions, feel free to throw them in. Whenever you throw them in, I'll throw them in the next episode whenever we do it. And if you want to just, you can DM me on Twitter, your Twitter questions that way as well. So,
yeah. Anyways, we'll see you guys soon whenever we get the next big chunk of news. Maybe some Diablo 4 patch notes or, we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyways, peace.